Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Light Views. So today I'm just gonna make it brief because it's actually been a while, and I just wanted to slip this one in there just to keep things. Just because I'm procrastinating, that's the honest truth. I'm procrastinating and I'm doing this while I'm supposed to be doing something else. Anyway, so today we're talking about Shang-Chi. And this, firstly, was an excellent movie. I watched it in a normal cinema with my friends, I think about two weekends ago. And chef's kiss, absolutely chef's kiss. It's an absolutely brilliant movie. I mean, I've been trying to avoid watching trailers because I feel like there's so much that's given away in trailers lately. And so I've been avoiding trailers and just hoping that, okay, what I've been seeing and watching online won't give away the story. None of it gave it away. And I think now a lot of, especially for the Marvel Universe, MCU, they are trying to curate the trailers so that they give you something but they don't give you everything. Because nowadays you can watch trailers and they really will give away everything. But anyway, so I've avoided trailers, watched it, and whew, it really is an amazing story. I'm not gonna spoil too much. There are some spoilers here and there, but overall, my thoughts are this. What I appreciate about Marvel, especially the Netflix series. I've been wanting to do a Netflix coverage on the Netflix series, but I think it's way past time to do that. But what I really liked about the Netflix Marvel shows was that they were essentially genre-based series that were placed in the Marvel universe. They stuck to the genre, they kept the atmosphere, the characters were built around the genres, and they really filled that up in that sense. Because essentially a lot of them weren't always genre comics and then comic book form, but they made sure that these ones, the series, the Netflix series, were genre comic books. Genre series. And that's what I loved about the Netflix shows. That's why Daredevil is so good, because it sticks to that genre of being a crime vigilante drama. You have some legal stuff, you have some gritty stuff, and it does really well, and it works because of the characters, it works because of the story, it works because of so many things. Same with Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, I think, is excellent because it captures the atmosphere of noir, film noir so well. It captures the characters so well, the overtones, the narration, everything goes so well. And I feel like with some of the earlier MCU movies, they weren't really going for that. They were just like, okay, it's Iron Man, okay, it's Captain America. There were some hints of genre going on there, but they really started capturing it a lot better in the later movies. Like, I really feel my number one movie, tied with Infinity War, is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and it's because they capture the genre of a spy drama movie in the Marvel universe. There's intrigue, there's plots. It's almost like watching a James Bond film with a superhero as the lead, and essentially that's what James Bond has been lately. But that's essentially what makes it so successful, and that's why I feel like Shang-Chi is so good, because Shang-Chi isn't an MCU movie. It does follow the formula of some MCU movies, but again, it is in the MCU, so it does need to do that. But essentially, it's a kung fu action Chinese movie. I love how often we hear Mandarin being spoken. I love how the actor, the main character, you see his face when he does stunts, because essentially that's what we love about kung fu movies. You don't watch a kung fu movie and then you have the actor have long hair so that he can do stunts, or cover his face so that he can do stunts, like happened in a certain other Marvel series that was also kung fu based. But either way, the point is that Shang-Chi is successful because it sticks to the genre and it goes deep into the genre. Also, it's successful because of the characters. I think this is where, for me, it's sort of a nitpick. Simu Liu Shimu, as his Chinese name is. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. He captures the essence of Shang-Chi and he emboldens so that he almost disappears into the character of Shang-Chi. And I like that. You really get a good character in him. And you get a strong lead in that sense. But I feel like the person who really stole the show was Wenwu. His father completely stole the show. And that's because of the actor. I actually even had to go watch some movies of his now. Tony Leung. Tony Leung is such a brilliant actor. I've actually been watching some movies just to see what is his acting like outside this character. Because I'd seen him before in Hero, and he was really good there. I mean, that's also a very good movie as well. But I wanted to see him outside of this genre. And there's a movie I watched called 2046. And Looking for Love. These are Chinese movies, subtitled obviously, and his acting there made me see why they chose him. Not necessarily the kung fu stuff, yes, but his acting there, he fully captures his character. He fully immerses himself in acting. I watched some interviews of his about the character of Wenwu, and you could see that he went far above and beyond what they were expecting from him. I mean, he's the villain. They weren't necessarily expecting that much from him because they wanted, well, they obviously were, but they were expecting a certain level of work from him, and he went above and beyond. I honestly feel like Wenwu stole the show. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, when Tony Leung stole the show as Wenwu.
You have won my respect and attention.
Because the love story between Wenwu and his wife essentially drives the core of the movie. It carries the core of the movie. It drives the reasoning and the darkness behind how the movie turns from being what the trailers portray as a bad father to being about a conflict about how this man wants something that he can never get, and how what he thought he had crumbles away in front of him because of his own mistakes, but he doesn't accept them as his own mistakes and rather blames the world for them. It becomes a monster so that he can prevent similar things happening, but the monster becomes influences his son, Shang-Chi.
Damn!
I really am in love with that storyline. But either way, the point being is that the movie then drives forward based on how all of this happens. Shang-Chi alienates himself from his father, even his sister, so that he could find independence and be who he really wants to be. And his father catches up with him, and then the movie moves from there. But I'm not going to focus on that. The other thing that I really liked about this movie was the cast. I already talked about Tony Leung, but I also liked Awkwafina. I know a lot of people are gonna put some hate on Awkwafina, and I can understand why, and that's essentially not her fault. Awkwafina as the best friend, the over-the-top, out there, loud, brash best friend works. It's just a very good chemistry, and I like the fact that there isn't any romance outside of Wenwu's romance with Shang-Chi's mother. All the romance is there. Awkwafina's character, Katie, and Shang-Chi are just friends. There's nothing more that is hinted at there. It's just two buddies, and I like that. I mean, it's a refreshing take on having superhero movies needing a lead character, especially a male lead character, needing a female or a love interest. So it's really inspiring to see that worked, and that's why I liked Awkwafina's character, because she does it so very well. Although again, the other downside for me was the fact that it seemed like the movie was relying too much on her delivering some of the comedic roles. Like it honestly felt like there were points in the script where they just said Awkwafina being Awkwafina, and they just handed it to her and just smiled, waiting for her to be Awkwafina. And I didn't really like that, because it was like, don't take me out of the movie when you put me in the movie by doing things that you feel need to like the movie. Let the movie flow and let it move forward at a natural pace. Another thing I loved, character that they brought in, was Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley being back as Trevor, an actor, was chef's kiss as well. I mean, you've got the chance to have Ben Kingsley, use him. But I also love that they patched over some of the work that was undone in Iron Man 3. That storyline, especially that plot point, was but I liked it that they now filled it over, so that it seems like this was always a plan, when it actually wasn't always a plan. So I really like the fact that Marvel, to those who don't know, who might only start watching MCU movies now, to them it might seem like this was always a plan, and Marvel can now seem like the good guys in their eyes about the story. So there's that. In terms of the production quality, it's a Marvel movie, so obviously the production quality was excellent. It's the SFX. There are creatures in there that aren't real, and you in your head know they aren't real, but the way they are portrayed on the screen and the way that people interact with them on the screen, you wouldn't know. The SFX is probably some of the best SFX I've seen from Marvel since Infinity War. Like, I feel like they were given a budget, they went over the budget, but when Disney came knocking to see who's going over the budget, they were probably like, you know what, actually, this is now the budget, because the SFX was that good, top tier. I don't think anyone will ever complain about it being horrible SFX there. And here is also another thing that I really enjoyed: the choreography. Like I said, this is a genre film, so obviously if you're saying this is now a kung fu movie, the kung fu needs to be good. The kung fu is, well, let me not say the kung fu, let me say the martial arts is excellent. The choreography is excellent. Simu Liu, absolutely brilliant use of his talent. I don't know, I actually need to check if he is actually a martial artist or if he got into fitness just for this role, or if he's had other roles before where he does martial arts, because it really felt like watching Jackie Chan, not in the sense that he's at the level of Jackie Chan of using his body and whatnot and using the signature Jackie Chan moves. He does do some of that, but I mean more in the sense that this is why we enjoy martial arts movies. Like I said before, you see the actor in fighting poses, you see that this is the actual actor and not a stunt double. I'm sure there were probably stunts doubles, but I really feel like he did all of his stunts himself. Tony Leung as well, I did research him, because I'm clearly in love with Tony Leung, he did all of his own stunts as well. And I feel like a lot of the other actors as well probably did a lot of their stunts, and I feel like a lot of them were chosen because of the fact that they can do their own stunts. But in that sense, the production part was absolutely brilliant. And what I'm loving is that Marvel is choosing little known or unknown directors to do their movies. And obviously you can tell that there's a Marvel executive somewhere, the man with the cap, who sits in and directs in his way what should be happening and what things should be done. But you can also see that they're giving them freedom to do so much, and it's working so well because the character of the director is coming through the movie as well, and I'm really enjoying the work that they've been doing. So, in conclusion, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is I think now I wanted to say it's on par with Winter Soldier and Infinity War, but that might be recency bias. So I'll say it's in my top 5 now. It is definitely in my top 5. Let me just say that it's in my top 5. Yeah. And it's all because I have a really strong bias, obviously, towards the good TV must-haves. Good movies. A good movie must be able to get you into the genre without you noticing you're in there, and also still have the atmosphere of a good genre. Good TV must have a good movie must have a great story. It must have great characters. It must have a great production, and it must appeal to the audience. And here's where I feel Shang-Chi also wins. The audience is very broad. I mean, when we say you're watching a Marvel movie, the first people to come to the front of the queue are us nerds, as comic book nerds. We come to the front of the queue and we want to watch something, we want to watch the comic books come to life. And I really feel that for those of us who like the comic books and who've encountered Shang-Chi in the comics, we're happy. I really feel like they brought to life some of the things there. Obviously, it's not comic book accurate because the powers that Shang-Chi has in the comics aren't really expressed yet, but I mean, that's plot device or down the plot. But the characters are all there from the comic books. And there's obviously some adaptation about Wenwu and the Mandarin. But I also feel that the other audience that's there are casual people who've fallen in love with the MCU and now become MCU fans, and not necessarily comic book fans, but you can say comic book movie fans. And I feel like they also will enjoy it because all the formula for a good comic book movie is there. And I also feel like people who, honestly, if you've never watched an MCU movie, you'd still enjoy this movie. If you're a martial arts fan, you'll enjoy this movie. I will say though that the final fights isn't pure martial arts, so there might be people who feel like it was a bit of a cop out because it's all CGI fights. Yeah, I hear you, but like I personally loved the way they integrated the CGI fights with the martial arts. I mean, it's anyway. But in conclusion, go watch the movie. It's worth it. You'll enjoy it. I actually want to go rewatch it again in IMAX, but I need to do things. I need to buckle down and do work. So yeah, that's it for me. Go watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.